drop out. Promise me you will always be too awake to be famous, too wide to be safe. But all you really wanted was everything, plus everything, and the truth I only poured you half a lie.
Did you get enough sleep last night?
No.
You have a busy week?
Yeah, I work like 55 hours a week.
Seriously?
Yeah. I count my commute as work. But I leave my house at 7 and I don't get home some nights till 11.
When do you have to be in the office? Just
Well, if I leave at 7, I get the 8:40 train. I get there by 9:30.
Wow. You leave at 7 to get the 8:40 train.
7:30.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
whenever I want. But yeah, 8:40 train, 9:30 office. I leave at 4:30. I get home at 6:30 unless I've got screenings or plays or whatever. So.
Man, I missed Casa de mi Padre. It just did not work out for me.
And
this week,
you missed the Duplass Brothers.
Yeah.
I saw a Duplass Brothers movie I liked, and you missed it.
Yeah. Well, God,
we won't even talk about.
What was I doing on Monday?
We won't even talk about Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Yeah,
But
that was it. I've had opportunities to see it, and I haven't. It played at the. I think it played at the Independent Film Festival Boston last year. But
Jiro did. That's coming up soon, isn't it?
Something like. But yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't get up. But then again, I had an excuse. I was doing a set visit for Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick sequel.
We're not taping, are we?
Yeah.
Wow, this is the laziest intro ever.
We're here, post-movie. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this episode, we're going to talk about 21 Jump Street.
Yes.
And Casa de mi Padre, or John's going to talk about it. And I guess...
Yo digo en español, ¿sí?
Yeah. I noticed that on the AMC website that they were very prominently stating that the movie is all in subtitles in case some people have a problem with it.
Oh, the movie starts, the lights go down, the film comes on, but it's black.
Yeah.
And the only English you hear is, it basically says, yeah, the movie's in Spanish, there's subtitles, deal with it. And then it begins.
So I guess Will Ferrell's fluent in Spanish.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Is that the joke?
Well, and they pull it off by saying that he's like the dumb brother of the family, so that's why he speaks so slowly and badly. But I thought it was great, and it was surreally great.
So is this a
weird.
Threefer? You've seen. I'm assuming that you like 21 Jump Street. It was a fun film. So you've seen 3 fucking movies that you liked this week.
So
that's a first.
4.
A first.
So I want whoever put that comment on the page to eat their words. Yeah, it could be a first.
Jesus,
and
what are you taking, happy pills or something?
It must be. Yeah, that's why I look so tired and burned out. I've never been this happy for so long. It's wearing me down. I don't want to be happy anymore. I want to be my grumpy old self.
You've been broken into mumblecore.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I still
your negative cherry has been cracked.
No, it's we're talking about Jeff who lives with his mother.
Yeah. Jeff who lives at home.
Jeff who lives at home with by the Duplass brothers, and they still can't keep a film in focus.
It's not their thing.
But it is their responsibility. So. I mean, if it's a stylistic choice, fine. Yes. Then they do it intentionally, but I don't like it. So I find it distracting.
Jeez. And you would find that distracting. Admittedly, I haven't seen the film, but you didn't find any of that distracting in Safe House.
You always bring up Safe House.
I'm like,
I went with Safe House. I didn't find any of that. I found that engaging. I didn't. When the Duplass brothers do it, it's just kind of like someone kicks me in the side of the head.
Okay.
And I'm just like, huh? Focus. Do you have a focus puller?
That must be a tough focus pulling job.
Duplass brothers?
If they have one, yeah.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do any of that, measuring or anything. They just kind of turn the camera on and say, okay, let's go. We'll fix it in editing or leave it in as an artistic style. But movie was good. It was funny.
Man,
And it was so good.
it's out there right now. It opens today.
Yeah,
Opened
and I sat
yesterday.
near Dan Kimmel, who didn't like it.
Yeah.
I'll never do that. I'm going to avoid him at comedies. He's the black hole when he doesn't like a film. Just kind of sucks the energy out from around him.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll learn.
Man, I had something happen to me at the theater today that's never happened to me. So I just got back from a screening of 21 Jump Street, and love the movie.
Yeah.
Sitting behind me, 3 chicks.
Hot chicks?
I don't know.
You can say it. It's a
I don't know.
podcast.
I don't care. I was pissed at him. They're talking through the movie.
Oh, my God.
You know, even lowly enough, but you could still hear him talking.
Yeah, they're right behind you.
And so I turn around. I give throw my hands out to my side, like, you know, and turn my head, like, give him the, you know, kind of look.
Yeah.
Like, shut it up. And I feel a little bump on the back of my chair. I'm thinking to myself, you fucking, you know. They get up and move two rows back. I'm glad. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right. I get home, taking my jacket off, and there's a piece of fucking green fluorescent gum stick to the back of my coat.
You think they did it?
Yeah.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Steve.
People, man.
Yeah.
And that was a public. That was not a public. No, I'm sorry. And that was a regular screening.
Yeah.
A regular matinee screening of 21 Jump Street.
An otherwise enjoyable experience.
Otherwise, fucking, you know, shut up. When you go to a movie, fucking shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
The levels are going crazy.
Shut up. You know, when you hear
Don't
this,
stick
like,
gum on me.
your dating conversation halfway through the movie. There, okay, my angst is channeled through the microphone.
Good. But
Basically, I'd love to just say, shut the fuck up.
ladies,
There's always retaliation of some sort. It depends on the level, on the negativity that you put out there, and I try not to be. I mean, I did. I was like, you know, I turned around and gave him the, come on, you know, give it a break. They
come
give it a
on,
break
ladies.
look.
Yeah, that never works with young. It's young people. They shouldn't be allowed in movies.
Yeah.
But you liked it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what I kind of get tired of is now this isn't part of the movie review. It's when we're trying to summarize the film.
Right.
Let's just do this as a conversation. Do we really have to stop and explain to me
No.
like the step-by-step summary? Because it's 21 Jump Street. You
then
know
this
that they're
happened.
going back to high school. You
Yeah.
know they're working undercover. They're trying to stop a drug deal or get to the supplier, and that's the deal.
Yep. But man, did they do it with? And not only was it really funny. I mean, I laughed a
Yeah.
lot, but I think
Yeah.
it's pretty smart too. The
It
comedy.
was self-effacing.
Granted, they do not shy away from a dick joke.
No, this is R.
Yeah, it's a hard R.
Yeah.
This isn't R because there's some boobies like that Project X piece of shit. This is R because, well, because of that final scene, probably. But
it had its self humor. Its sense of humor says that we know that this is all stereotypical and everyone's an archetype and this is this guy and that's this guy and this guy plays this. And when Nick Offerman, the guy from Parks and Recreation who plays the captain who's telling them that they've been assigned to Jump Street. He sets it up and he says basically the department's all out of ideas and
yeah,
you know, we're just going to go back to an old 80s thing where we're going to put you in high school.
You bet.
I felt the part that got me was I think I was the only person in this young crowd who laughed out loud when I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, but they never really. I mean, they make some references like that, but they don't use the old series as a crutch or anything. You know, to try to make themselves cool by association. This movie stands on its own.
and it takes the comedy route in a huge way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you'd have had to wonder if anybody involved with the original series was going to be like, shouldn't have been a little bit more serious. But then again, it's produced by Stephen J. Cannell.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people from the original series in it.
Yeah. Who else? I didn't. Besides cameos, we don't want to give away.
Well, when they go to get the cool car,
Yeah.
the black police officer who brings them to impound to get the cool car, she was on it.
Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. Walking out, it was funny because walking out after I saw it, there was a people would break up into camps, those who knew the story or knew the original show and those who didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think it mattered either way because I was just happy.
Yeah. The movie it sends you out in its typical freaking happy ending thing, especially with the part of the credits that I call the performance credits, which is all the animation. In this case, it's a sort of a credits music video with extra scenes from the film.
Yeah.
A couple of extra codas, as it were. Very amusing.
The biggest surprise for me in this was Channing Tatum.
Why? Because he's so good looking and yet funny.
Yeah. I mean, he's had like that. Remember that piece of shit with Kevin James and Vince Vaughn from last year? The Ron Howard thing where he played like the wacky guy in that, and you could see him struggling trying to find something funny to do, and that movie just had no funny in it. But this one, he, when we first meet him, when they're really in high school, he's the cool jock, and he's kind of funny that way. But then, not only does he it's kind of one of those really brave, go for it performances, where he goes all out.
Yeah.
And if it's not working, he's going to be the biggest jerk on the screen. But it worked for me. But there's a lot of smarts going on when his character,
smart script.
Yeah, and there's a genuine emotion that both these guys go through that support.
Yeah, in a way, it's a bromance.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, but that scene when he's tripping in the music room, and he just dives through the gong. He's embraced his stereotype. Yeah,
and what I really liked about this is the idea that so they're set up with a certain course, with certain courses that sort of mesh with what they're good at.
Right.
So Jonah Hill's character is going to be the guy that takes the AP chemistry. and Channing Tatum's going to be like theater. I don't know, wood shop or something like that. I don't know. And there's a screw up in the principal's office at the beginning
because Channing can't remember. He can't remember what his undercover name is.
So he ends up getting they end up getting each other's schedule.
Yeah.
So he's got to Channing Tatum has to somehow survive AP calculus. But but more than that, it's like he has to infiltrate the geeks.
Yeah.
Whereas Jonah Hill's character has to do with the more popular stuff, the track stuff.
Right.
The sports. So they're playing off type, and it's pretty funny. And I loved the scenes in the chemistry class with the chick from The Office, who just couldn't contain her attraction to Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the way he communicated with the geeks in the class, especially in the phone hacking scene. You mean you can't? Yeah, I can't. It's just, it's great physical acting by this geek kid.
Yeah. And, just again, just watching him do comedy. And Jonah Hill, again, he's playing against type. He's the cool guy suddenly, but he does a great job of this nerd who's finally being accepted as one of the cool, he dreamed of being a cool guy when he was being beat up in high school. And now he's one of the cool guys. And he doesn't want to give it up. His real
version of him in high school is pretty damn funny.
Oh, the not so Slim Shady?
Oh, God.
Great.
It's the photos from it, man.
They had great rapport. They were a good comedy team.
Yeah.
They definitely worked together well. And a little shout out to Ice Cube. Playing
off the angry
black police captain.
Sarge.
Well, he was just a riot,
I know I'm black, but I earned this job.
Well, when he says that he's got a line, these kids are ODing from this new drug and they're white kids, so people give a shit.
Yeah.
So, even that's that's a line that gets a laugh, but it's also like, wow, that's pretty smart for this kind of,
I thought it was ingenious that it was playing on the idea of movie action scene explosions, where all the elements would come together, but the explosion wouldn't happen.
I thought for sure that would blow up.
Yeah, and that we were presented all the ingredients, the canisters exploding into the fuel truck.
Right. Gunshots into a gasoline truck.
Exactly. It's supposed to go, but then
when something does explode, it's
some foolish thing that hits a chicken truck.
And it really blows up, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's a very self-aware kind of comedy.
Yeah.
And But again, it's not just the yucks. They made a good story here, good character
I
development.
thought it got deep at the moment when he kneeled in front of Korean Jesus.
And Channing Tatum's
There was something about like totally just laying yourself before Korean Jesus and saying, I'm at your mercy.
And the great thing about a scene like that is Jonah Hill's playing it like he's earned that Oscar from Moneyball, and here's his follow-up performance because he plays it so seriously. Yeah. And then to see Channing Tatum just pissing his pants laughing behind him, and then Ice Cube coming out saying, leave Korean Jesus alone. He's got enough on his mind.
And the whole thing where they have to keep their cover. So they're brothers now.
Yeah.
And one of the brothers, Channing Tatum, is adopted. But when they come back to his parents' house, and the comment he makes after they've had to redress the place to make it look a little bit more like he's been living there or something. And he's like, Mom, you've made it like I died in 1984 or something like that.
Oh,
and this is like a shrine to me. Yeah. And they basically, there's this one photo of like naked from the waist up where he's got his fist on his chin looking at the camera, and he's like, oh my God, I look like some super young Fred Savage. And you I was naked when this photo was taken, right? And I've had years of therapy to try and get
it just makes me smile just thinking about it, because
it's a very funny movie. Yeah. I can see why Greg Valente, who a fellow critic who's been on the show, we should have Greg on again. Ideally, it would have been to talk about this, but as schedules go.
Yeah,
I've been around, but he was like, he's seen it twice
already.
4-star review,
and it opened today. He's seen it twice already, and it opened.
Yeah,
today.
I'm wary of anything that has 4 stars. Really? I mean, it's very, I don't know. I guess if I were Greg's age, I would have given this.
They got
4
an
stars.
A- in Entertainment Weekly.
That's what I give it. It's got balls, and then it doesn't, and then it does. It's got it throws you for a couple of curves too, as far as the cameos go.
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
Yeah,
and then they were really good.
Yeah,
boom.
Yeah, and I loved this kid who plays the supplier. Okay, the moment you see him on screen, or the moment I saw him for the first time, I was thinking, like, damn, what does this remind me of? This is James Franco. This is like a young James Franco.
And?
It's his younger brother.
Yeah.
Unless there's another Franco.
No, it is his younger brother.
And he's got that sort of Franco vibe around the,
big eyebrows.
Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. The
and, he plays, like cool well, and then sort of evil cool. He was able to do cool and funny. He was, ride that balance, and it worked.
And when the shit really hits the fan and he falls apart, that's pretty funny too.
Yeah, he ends up being just as funny as you think. His character. It could be. Mm-hmm. He was evil when he had to be. The scene where they first go into, they get a text that says, come on, meet me, and we'll set up this. This is drug that's like a new kind of ecstasy, and it has 5 stages that you go through after you take the drug. And when Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum have to take the drug because he's not going to let them out of their presence without
prove me you're not cops.
Yeah, by taking the drug right there. So what ensues is pretty fucking funny. And they do these stop action like trading card things when they've reached a new stage of the of their being what.
It's like the arc of they're getting high. Yeah. It's like giggles and then deep introspection and then violence and
sleepiness.
Yeah.
Simple-minded grandiosity or something like that.
And then that was
anger.
It was kind of like the style that they used in
self-assurance. Self-confidence.
What was the
overly self-confident?
Well, and then they show them because now they've taken the drug and they go back to their school life. So the self-confidence makes Jonah Hill audition to be Peter Pan in the musical, and do this rendition of Peter Pan
that he could only moments before mumble.
Right. And suddenly he's the most flamboyant Peter Pan you've ever seen, and that's when Channing goes into the music room and freaks out. This
movie was directed by a couple of people. Mm-hmm. It was a 2-man job.
What else did they do, though?
I don't know. I don't have their info in front of me. But intriguing, because I hadn't heard of them before, and then there's this, and it's good.
It's really good.
It's
something I would see again just for giggles,
Oh, I will definitely see it again. And I would not have said that knowing anything else about this.
Right.
You know, you just
Right.
like gotta see the movie. You know,
Yeah.
what else can I say?
A lot of times if we go back a second time, it's to who captured the nuance of a film or to look at a scene again or blah, 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 some critic thing. And this would just be as a fan just going, I need a laugh.
But it's so funny, and just because of the conversation, the level of conversation that Jonah Hill puts forth, you know, it's just funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Great dialogue. And they're good at delivering it. You know, it's not, again, never played for a joke. And that's, and the same way they're not trying to be funny. It's
The whole thing about like why they don't know their Miranda rights. Just their casual explanations as to why they don't know stuff or do stuff. And then the bike chase scene it's got a lot of funny stuff.
Just the fact that when they dream of their big moments in life, they think there should be doves flying because that would look cool. And then they bring a box of doves with them to show us how cool it would look.
Do you ever feel bad or guilty about liking a movie too much?
No.
Like, you know, that this is I don't know. I mean, it's just not a bad movie.
No.
And I have a radar that fucking just examines stuff and looks for bad things and holes and the plot and stuff like that. And one of the cool things this movie did was it took a piece of the script, it took an element that is used to establish a character, and then it turned it into something greater. Like, I don't want to explain what it is, but it was like, you know, when this piece of the puzzle is typically used to establish this thing about how this person relates to someone else, or, you know, it's like something to beef up the character. But then they doubled it. They used that information to play into something larger, and I was like, man, it's
good filmmaking.
That's a good script writing element there.
Yeah,
you know, that way it's structural. You know, it's a piece of the puzzle. But when it tricks me like that, when I think I've got something figured and it tricks me, I'm pissed and impressed, and it impressed me.
I'm glad you weren't pissed.
Damn this good movie.
Even the cameos that are all over. Everyone knows about it anyway. But I was surprised when it happened. I kind of knew it was coming, but I forgot to be looking for it. And
yeah,
when
we
it happens,
can't say.
It happens, and then that scene becomes so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it does. It takes it up to another level.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Tread lightly.
That's pretty cool.
Let's remove our toes from that shallow water.
Okay.
We don't want to dip our toes into that territory.
I'm cannonballing it. Cannonball right in. Boom. So yeah, I would highly recommend this.
What do you have to say about Casa de mi Padre?
So we already talked about it.
Is that Spanish.
It? Well, it's just that's a movie that defies description.
Really?
Because
I should have seen it.
There are things in there that are just so out there and surreal. And the thing is, I credit Will Ferrell because I read an interview in Rolling Stone, and he was like, he thought this was a funny idea. So he commits to any funny idea he has, he commits to 100%.
Is this going to be something that's considered so unusual that it'll be early sort of cultish? I mean, it'll
think so, yeah.
Right away?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do well in its initial phases.
But it'll be appreciated for its unusuality.
I think if it taps into the Latino market, it'll make a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I guess Tim got invited to do the
junket.
Press junket. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
because
interview with
and there
Will
are
Ferrell
so many,
online.
I mean,
Tim Estilos.
There are so many cultural references I didn't get because I'm not Latino. But Tim and other Latino people there, Monica, who's from Cuba, her people are from Cuba, they were just dying because it'd be like these references to Spanish soap operas or Spanish culture that are just outrageous, but I don't know them. I'm just laughing because, it's Will Ferrell doing the most absurd stuff. Then what are you laughing at, John? Because those are just like, they do a scene where he kind of freaks out and there's all these imageries thrown at you. That I just thought it's like, this is a funny, trippy scene, but they were like, oh, they showed this, they showed that. These are cultural things they were trying to explain to me later. I'm laughing because, God, Will Ferrell. And they use fake sets and fake. Some of the movie was real, some of it was fake.
Surreal.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I think. That just tickled me. That was just so far out there. I was willing to jump in and enjoy it, not try to pick it apart. Some of the critics there that night refused to jump in. So
You're not going to name names.
Dan Kimmel.
Okay.
There. He's not going to listen to this, but he hated it.
What did you what sold you about Jeff Who Lives at Home?
The performances of
You're a Jason Segel fan.
Jason Segel.
There is a
and-
funny guy that you like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we've gone down that list before.
Yep.
On the like side for John is
And Ed Helms was good too. Susan
Right.
Sarandon was good. The story's a little strange, but it's about this guy I like the story that, you know, Jeff is a guy who was just looking for the world to show him his life has some meaning. And he does it in the worst way. But at the end, it works out. It had a kind of, you know, that the world does have a place for Jeff. I kind of like that. It was a little hippie-ish.
Don't spoil it for me.
And it had
Careful.
Ray Dawn
man.
Chong
When's the last time we've seen her?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
How's she looking? Good.
Matronly.
Really?
You know, she's
Is
not
she the
same-
mom? What does she
No,
play?
she works with the mom in The Office.
Oh.
She's just the co-star.
Huh.
Or, you know, bit player, whatever you want to call it.
Man, what were some of the films she did in the 80s, 90s? that
Quest for
we were
Fire.
in? Quest for Fire. Was she in...
She was in the Schwarzenegger movie Command.
Right. Commando,
Was it Commando?
I think. Was it?
Yeah.
That's it.
She had a string of, like, you know, hot.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it was Commando.
Like, look up the Ray Dawn
I know
Chong
that was the
from
movie. I just don't want to out the title, but she was in that. You know, she's driving the sport. She wanted.
Yeah.
Arnold wanted to drive the car. He had to rip out the seat to fit in and stuff
Why
like
do
that.
I feel like she was in some Ghostbusters thing?
I don't know. You know, there was a time where it was either her or Maria Conchita Alonso. You know, if they needed a hot ethnic stereotype, boom, those were the two go-to girls.
Well,
And it's nice to see her, you know, working.
and
But
working it.
Siegel was the one who impressed me
Yeah.
a lot. Again, because he threw himself in completely to the role of Jeff, a man who was, you know, he's not trying to be funny. He's desperately trying to find a connection with the world.
Yeah.
And Ed Helms was this bulldog idiot of a brother. And I like the adventure they took. The ending was a little forced, but still fun.
I was just looking at Ray Dawn Chong's filmography. American Flyers. Cheech and Chong's The Corsican Brothers?
Oh,
Jesus, man. I never even saw that.
It's no
Quest for Fire. That was back in 81.
Yeah.
That's
so
been
I was,
around, man. Wow.
Oh, my God.
Color Purple.
It was in 81. Quest for Fire was 81. So I was 12
Can
when
you
I
believe
saw
that?
her. Yeah. She's
Damn.
naked.
You were 12 in 81?
No.
Yeah, you must have been like
22.
17, 22?
Born in 59, so 22.
Wow.
Good. I was wondering. I was hoping I didn't have the reaction to a naked Ray Dawn when I was 12.
The Principal, The Squeeze, Rude Awakening. Yeah,
Again, you know.
Far out, man.
Hey, we've got a comedy with Michael Keaton called The Squeeze. We needed a hot ethnic. Who we got? Oh.
What? She was in Cyrus? That was the Duplass brothers' last movie.
Yeah,
Who was she in Cyrus?
I don't know. I've wiped out any imagery from that movie from my mind except for Jonah Hill standing there.
That's pretty funny. I just watch it just for that one good moment. I'll watch it just for that, you know?
You go for it then. I'm not gonna. So yeah, it's been a good week for movies.
Yeah.
Me likey.
Let's just get into the video conversation.
Alrighty.
Let's just talk videos. Because I
Okay.
could keep going forever on 21 Jump Street. And
No, you can't. We'll stop.
was Richard Grieco? Was he in the movie?
No. He'll be in the sequel because they do set it up nice for a sequel. And this movie's going to make so much freaking money. There's going to be a sequel.
There will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go
And
to
they
college.
blatantly set it up in the way that it's like the sequel's going to be like this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
I like that. I like that attitude. They know they made something special.
yeah, there will
And
be.
there'll be talk.
Oh, they could have overshot this one.
Yeah.
They could have screwed it up. People could have been like, "Oh, great, have fun with that."
Right. But
yeah,
I just
I'm
like the
looking forward to it.
ballsiness of, because, you know, if you were doing the roundtables with him, some joker would say, "Oh, do you think there'll be a sequel?"
I wonder if they added that because after early audience reactions, because I think the press saw this like 2 months ago. They had the press junket for this like more than a month ago, 2 months ago, and I wonder if they could have had enough time to get the press reactions and then change it, and then add this.
I'd hate to think
You
they
know?
would do that.
They could possibly.
Yeah, they could have, but I just hate to think that they'd listen to the press. So I want to hear your first DVD recommendation. Blow me away. Something I've never seen. Something
Okay,
I've got to go buy.
Well, how about this? My first recommendation is not a DVD. It's a book.
A book?
Yes.
Our readers don't read.
I've started getting books now, man. Books.
Really?
And trying to find the time to read them.
My boy's growing up. He's got books.
I've done it. And I would not recommend this in any way whatsoever from a literary standpoint. But in terms of being, like, I don't know, just the candor of it is shocking. Okay, so this is Kevin Smith, and his new book is Tough Shit. Life advice from a fat, lazy slob who did good. It's from Gotham Books. All right, so I'm just going to page forward here to chapter 6. Okay. In which he talks about working with Bruce Willis on Cop Out. One of the, essentially, possibly the nightmare experience of Kevin Smith's career. Was working with Bruce Willis, and the revelation. I was going to say the revelatory aspect, not really. The revelation in this is that, like, you've only heard about, like, maybe what kind of an asshole Bruce Willis can be on set. This is Kevin Smith's version, but he gives you the shit as far as, like, how defiant and uncooperative Bruce Willis is. And this is not the same Bruce Willis, apparently, that Kevin Smith worked on Live Free or Die Hard with for a couple of days. This is an entirely different animal. Right. That just, it's someone like this who just, like, takes your love of film and could possibly destroy it forever. What Bruce Willis apparently does to usurp Kevin Smith's authority in the making of this film is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, the guy just did not take his directions. The guy didn't care for the script. He didn't rehearse, didn't care for the script, didn't have much respect for his co-stars or the people working on the film. It's paid millions. Yeah. And, I think they're towards the end of the chapter, Kevin Smith tries to figure out why Bruce Willis would act like this. And he says, well, maybe it's because, he's been working on films for nearly 30 years. And believe me, this is not the guy from happy-go-lucky guy from Moonlighting. Right. This is someone who's been taking direction for so long that he can't shut up when he's supposed to still just shut up and take direction instead of trying to curry favor from other people on the set and take control of, he just didn't respect Kevin Smith. Right, right. So it was really, I guess, the first time. And I've followed the making of Kevin Smith's movies pretty closely. I've met him a couple times, interviewed him a couple times. He described himself as always attempting to maintain, being a cool cat, as he would say. But the best way that he could represent how he just couldn't handle Bruce Willis on this film is that in his motorhome, he had 3 holes punched through the bathroom wall. And he had nicknamed them, I think, as everyone else did, as Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, and Die Hard 3. The man had... There's a moment in this film where they're filming a scene in a card shop, because the Cop Out is about retrieving a very valuable baseball card that Willis's character is going to try to sell to, put his daughter through school. Right. And so they're filming this scene. They were filming the scene outside, and because there was such an altercation brewing between Willis and Smith on the set, that Smith asked everyone to adjourn because we got to talk this out. So they stepped into, I think it was the close by shop that they were using, and he talks about how he was trying to goad him into a fist fight. He was like, do you want to hit me? Do you want to punch me? Do we want to go with this? The way Kevin Smith describes working with Bruce Willis in his colorful language is just insane. There are so many, just in this one chapter, the things that he calls Willis. I'm not recalling them off the top of my head, but it's like not just a fucker, but every fucking name in the book is probably leveled at Bruce Willis over the course of the 15 pages of this. And I'm like wondering, wow, Smith really put this out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I wonder if when this book comes out, if it's not out like this week or next, if there's going to be any reaction from the Willis camp on it. But that's just one chapter in the book. But he goes into great detail about the tough shit that's happened in his life, the death of his father, the crazy things that he's had to do to, where he's taken a chance in life and how things have paid off and how things haven't. And he's really like in your face about it. His writing is very, buddy and straightforward. It's not literature, but it's real. I mean, I guess I'd say if you can't handle some of the overly descriptive ways that he writes about stuff, then this isn't for you.
Right.
I mean, because let's face it, I asked you to read the dedication on the book 2 weeks ago, and he dedicated it to
his wife.
Well,
a certain part of his wife.
Yes. He dedicated the book to his wife's asshole.
That about sums it up for me. That would keep me from reading that, really. I'm just a little tired of Smith.
It's comedy, but it's also this is like Kevin Smith's Tony Robbins piece.
Yeah.
There's advice in there for filmmakers, but let me quote Tim Burton on the back of the book. I certainly would never read anything written by Kevin Smith.
I've read a few of his books.
Everybody likes a certain type of movie, a certain type of filmmaker.
Along the Bruce Willis is an asshole line, there's a book called The Devil's Candy, which is the making of Bonfires of the Vanities and how
really?
that movie went wrong.
The shit must have gone off on there.
That book is not only is Bruce Willis an asshole, but Melanie Griffith is an asshole. Brian De Palma is an asshole. Tom Hanks is still a nice guy, but he's way out of his league for that film. Wow. How much money they lost and were spending, and just that movie is about the insanity of filmmaking too. And it's a whole book about that one movie.
What's the book called again?
The Devil's Candy.
Huh. Wow.
It's really good. It's really good. It's really and it's funny because I love the book Bonfires of Vanity, and the movie does suck.
Yeah.
And then you read the Devil's Candy and you go back and watch the movie again.
Wow, and this could be. I wonder what it would have to say about De Palma, and if this movie is like a representative of Fallout.
Yeah.
This is possibly the movie that buried a movie theater in Cambridge because they played Bonfire of the Vanities at the Janus Theater. There used to be a one screen in Harvard Square, and this is one of the reasons that one screen died was they were committed to booking the bonfires for Bonfires of Vanity for a certain.
And it was so, in the book, the Melanie Griffith character is a Puerto Rican girl, and the Bruce Willis character is a British reporter. And just they changed it all to be this starfucker vehicle, and it didn't work. And the more they filmed it, the worse it got. It's a pretty fascinating tome. Tome.
Cool.
DVDs?
Yeah, John. What do you got?
I have a horror movie.
Nice.
Imagine that. This is called Absentia.
Huh. I haven't heard
and I jumped.
Really?
Yeah. This movie.
If I have to think back, like we've seen tons of movies together, okay?
Yeah.
If I have to think back, like, can you remember when somebody's sitting next to you just fucking like, holy shit, like jump, lost it? I can't remember. You're not a jumpy guy.
No,
I don't.
No. And I knew.
I've jumped a few times.
And I knew it was coming. I was watching this on the commuter rail, and I jumped.
You'll take out your laptop and watch a movie on the commuter rail?
Yeah, I've got a hour and a half commute each day, so I can watch a movie.
And there's not a lot of people around you.
No, well, that's the thing. I always say,
commuter rail as opposed to the T.
Oh, not the
You're
T.
Sitting
no,
on
this
the
is
train.
the commuter rail, so I'm sitting on a seat in a train.
You got to get the train from Quincy.
From South Station, yeah.
You got to go into South Station,
and then get the
commuter rail
to Needham.
Oh, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but it's like I get to watch one movie a day on my commute. Anyway, this is a story about there's two sisters, and one of them is her husband's been missing for 7 years, and so she's about to sign the papers that he's dead in absentia. And as soon as she starts to sign the papers, she starts to see him. He starts appearing. And it's kind of, you feel like it's this generic ghost story thing where, the camera's set up so, ooh, he's behind her. Ooh, he's there. But then he actually shows up. He's not dead.
Spoiler.
No. But that's like the least of the problems here. because he can't tell anyone where he's been or what's happened to him. And
so before what was she thinking that she saw a ghost?
Yeah. And then the story starts to get stranger and stranger and stranger, where did something really happen to this guy? Has it happened to other people? Are they just crazy? Not a lot of gore, but extremely well filmed.
Is it American film? I've never heard of it.
Yep. It
Any name actors?
That's what I'm looking for now.
Steve asking the most obvious of shallow questions regarding a film.
Well, it has Doug Jones, who was in Pan's Labyrinth, Katie Parker, who was great in the movie, featured in over a dozen top 10 horror films of 2011.
Who's the director?
That's what I was looking for on this piece of paper, and of course they do not have.
You got to talk to people about those
these bad press releases.
Yeah.
Anyway, just really well shot, really well done, great story, great ending. I was just so impressed because, and we talked a lot about how, horror needs comedy. There's no real comedy in this, but the story and the performances were so engrossing.
Absentia. Okay. Is this Mike Flanagan?
Yes, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, that looks like that's a cool looking
cover
poster.
Yeah,
cover.
Yeah, really, really fun horror movie.
Hogs Gone Wild TV series is on his Ladies of Demolition Derby TV movie that he's done.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a lot.
Looking at the IMDb.
But in the extras, he did. He was he said he made it because he was tired of seeing gory, gross, not interesting horror movies. So, Absentia.
He's got a lot of stuff on his resume.
Yes.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Man, so what I'm going to put forth onto the mic is Ralph Bakshi's Wizards. And this I got the other day, earlier this week, and it's one of those things when, like, I knew the film was coming out, and I really wanted to get it, and when you finally get it, you're like, yes, something special.
Yep.
Fucking hell, man. And it's in one of these, God, how do I put it? It's like a mini book, And whenever, like, Fox does these mini book things, other companies do them too. I mean, Universal released The Big Lebowski in like a mini book.
Right.
And, but anyway, Fox does a number of their archive titles in these mini book things. And the first thing I think is like, man, I want a fucking coffee table book.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee table book and the DVD, not just like the mini thing in the poster, and the DVD, but that's just me. I'm happy to have it anyway. And
you want more? You're greedy.
Yeah. Well, Wizards was this thing that I think would be hard to explain to some Star Wars fans, because at the time it came out, it was, well, I would say pre-1977, or in this case, just in 1977, when there wasn't much going on before, like Star Wars hit.
Right.
Like before Star Wars, like, to me, there was like Space 1999 and Logan's Run, which I thought was pretty cool, but it was kind of evil, so I was never really totally down with it. It had that like a totally dystopian evil thing that I didn't totally get as a young person. But like, there was something about Wizards when it came out that was, a little friendlier.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out really close to Star Wars. And I remember having a conversation with my parents about like what movie we were going to go see, and there were different choices. And of these choices, I ultimately decided to go see Roller Coaster.
Oh, God.
So I chose Roller Coaster over seeing Star Wars for the first time. But one of these films that was playing like right close to when Star Wars came out was Wizards. And, it was sort of the cool animation type,
Yeah.
And I really liked it, but I was not totally, I don't, like, I remember realizing that, like, oh, this is just like animation over something that they filmed.
Right. It's a different style.
And I never would have, I don't know. I mean, Bakshi did that even more so, but I think even more so effectively in American pop. But I've still never been totally down with it.
Right.
But Wizards was I don't know, it was strange, you know, it was weird. And it's not something I would have bragged to my friends about having gone seen, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't really talk about it
right.
You talked about Star Wars, but Star Wars just kind of swamped everything after it came out. You know, I mean, slowly. So we just finished watching this making of thing this half-hour Ralph Bakshi interview that's on the Blu-ray disc, and he talks about how when Star Wars came out, there weren't enough theaters, and they pulled Wizards from theaters so they could put Star Wars into more theaters, and this is in the days when, you know, there were kind of like a more extended release thing, like movies would be obviously in theaters longer because we couldn't go home and watch them on TV or anything, you know, but it kind of bowled Star Wars over, and he explains the other connections between this and Star Wars. It's not just the fact that Alan Ladd, the president or the guy who was running Fox at the time, gave the green lights to both these projects, and at the same time did not allow completion funds for Star Wars or Wizards. And then you know, there's the crossover with the cast with Mark Hamill and whatnot. But the artistry of it and the meanings behind it I find fascinating. And it's been up until a couple days ago when I watched a bit of it. I hadn't seen it in 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like blast from the past. You know, if you know about this, it's like something that, you know, fans at conventions talk about. And then I'm sure people hold this film, you know, close to their hearts. I'm sure there's that cult following. But, man, I was so psyched to get this. And it looks great on DVD. There's not a lot of extras on it. It's still his gallery. There's the documentary Ralph Bakshi, The Wizard of Animation. And Bakshi also does a commentary, which I haven't listened to yet, but I'm very eager to. And
I'd like a tattoo of the cover.
Yeah, man, the piece, the character is just
Next
cool,
time,
man.
Next time I get money
cool.
for a tat,
you know,
I would do that.
And I liked his very personable sort of interview style, where he talks about his career and what he wanted to do in film that wasn't Disney-like, and you know, going from Fritz the Cat to, what was the other one he made? Was Street Traffic?
He did before? Fritz the Cat.
Yeah. They did Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings was after Wizards.
Didn't he do Heavy Metal?
No.
That wasn't him?
No, I don't think so.
Kind of his style.
I could be wrong. Maybe he was one of the...
I think he was one of the...
Heavy Metal was a collection of different types of animation. You might be right. But then American Pop in the early 80s, and but this is something else.
Cool World with Brad Pitt. And,
he did Cool World?
Yeah, that was him.
Huh.
Which was half animation, half live, which I just watched a little while ago. It's still pretty funny.
So you get to see the man behind the animation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his name still has a certain cachet when it comes to a certain type of animation. And Wizards is it, man.
Yeah.
It really is something. So
I love that he thinks of it as his family film.
Yeah. When you look at the drawings, and basically it's an unclothed woman. That's and some of the
cartoon.
Yeah.
Naked cartoon chicks.
And the themes in the story are pretty, like, you know, heavy.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about
kids
like
film, though. He doesn't want
propaganda, you know, Nazism, all that crap. It's a kids film.
It is.
It's out on Blu-ray. Looking cool. John, what do you got?
All right. I think it's probably since Blazing Saddles came out, but the movies
72.
spoofing other movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like this subculture or this subgenre. Some of them have been great. Most of them suck. You know, most of them don't. You know, it's not enough to have. There seems to be like a group that always puts them out. Like if when 300 was a hit, they had to put out a 300 spoof.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Are you gonna
Twilight's out? We'll do a Twilight spoof.
I just got that in the mail the other day. Breaking Wind.
The what?
Breaking Wind.
What is that?
Hold on. Let me show it to you. It's right here.
Steve's going to show me Breaking Wind.
Searching through my stack here. Let me throw it to you. There you go.
Wow.
Oops.
Love Stinks. Breaking
Sorry.
Wind.
I thought that's what you were going to talk about.
No, this is the kind of movie that I think would be awful.
It's perfectly awful.
I'm talking about National Lampoon's The Legend of Awesomus Maximus, which I thought would be awful. This stars Will Sasso, who is going to be Curly in the Farrelly Brothers Three Stooges movie.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. Methinks.
And it's basically the story of 300. You know, the Greeks and the Greeks
In the road.
and the Romans.
And the Romans.
But really funny. I mean, it's definitely like teenage boy comedy. But I was so
Teenage boy. Okay, right.
I watched it for breakfast this morning, and I had a blast. I just had a blast.
Over Fruit Loops. What did you have for breakfast?
You know, eggs and sausage.
No Quisp.
No Quake.
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, it's again. He's the Roman king, or he's the Trojan king. I don't know. He's one of the kings, and he has to
Trojan Roman
battle the bad guys who are led by Testicles, which is you know how Achilles was dipped into the river, and so his mom had to hold him by the ankle. That's why he had the Achilles heel.
Yeah.
The only place he was vulnerable. Guess where the mom held Testicles? Yup, you got it. You got it. See, I'm not proud. I'm not too proud to laugh at that. Tons of gratuitous nudity, dick jokes, fart jokes.
So whenever somebody gets hit in the balls, you can say they have an testicles balls.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. I just got a huge kick out of it. So you know, for people who think I have no taste, there's your proof.
For some of the reviewers who think John has no taste,
Yeah.
or even likes movies.
Right. So I wake up this morning and have coffee watching Awesomus Maximus and just cracking up as they torture him. There's a scene where they kidnap him, and he's dressed up like he's got the Braveheart makeup on, or half of it.
Yeah.
And so they've got him on a table like they do in Braveheart. And they torture him by having two really fat women cover themselves in lard and just sit on him. It's a visual I will never, ever get out of my head. But I was cracking up.
All right.
Yeah, so, you know, it's lowbrow comedy.
What's it called again?
National Lampoon's The Legend of Awesomus Maximus.
National Lampoon still distributes movies.
They have never
What's up with
stopped.
that?
They just never, ever even get promoted as DVDs.
I wonder if Tim Matheson still runs that stuff.
Oh, I don't know, but you can go to if you go to Netflix, there are dozens of National Lampoon movies. Most of them never see the light of day.
What was the one that was with Ryan Reynolds where he was like the party guy?
Van Wilder?
Yeah, and they've done a couple of sequels to that.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's all like they're kind of like you know, Asylum does for every horror or whatever else they do. They put out, you know, the sex film one we just saw.
Yeah.
National Lampoon just puts out the sex comedies.
The Asylum just sent one the other day.
Snow White?
Snow White.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watched half of it, so I'm going to withhold opinion.
Anyway, that's my second recommendation this week.
Cool. Man, I'm going to talk about this one really quickly. It's called Roadie. It's with Ron Eldard, Bobby Cannavale, and Jill Hennessy. And it's from Magnolia. And he plays I don't want to say aging, because he's really not that, like, aging, but he plays a guy whose life has not turned out quite like his mom had hoped.
Okay.
And so he's returning home after touring with Blue Oyster Cult. You know, and he's their guy. He's the guy that sets up the speakers, sets up the mics, you know, testing 1 2 1 2, you know, stands there so that they can adjust the spotlights and stuff.
Right.
And when he comes back home, I guess he lives in Brooklyn. He's trying to, you know, reconnect with his mom and stuff, and he meets up with his buddy Bobby Cannavale, and he meets Jill Hennessy, who I've always thought was hot. She is. She
what
just
would I
doesn't
know her
stop.
from?
Probably. Well, she had her own. Oh God, she had a TV show, and I don't remember the name of it. But I think a long time ago, one of my video picks on the show was like this anaconda dragon thing movie. Oh God, what was the name of it? It's not Anaconda.
Wasn't Anaconda Dragon?
No. What are those dragons that are like giant something dragons with the
Komodo.
Komodo, right? That's the name of the movie. Thank you, John.
Thank
yeah,
you.
she starred in Komodo. I thought she was kind of cool in that. But here she's a singer-songstress, and he's her roadie. So it's a good film. It's it's not great. It's I think it's like film festival fare,
Right,
and
right.
amusing from a musical standpoint, and the things that roadies do to keep their lives going.
On the road.
Yeah, and Ron Eldard, I was not familiar with him prior to Super 8. Played the guy who...
the drunk guy?
Yeah, the drunk guy. It's an okay film. Magnolia title.
He
Roadie.
had the... what's the name? Ron?
Ron Eldard.
He had a
Eldard.
TV show where he was a blind detective. It was awful.
Oh,
I think it
I
lasted
didn't know
like
that.
two shows.
Yeah, I think you were more familiar with him than I was.
Yeah.
But, what else you got?
Documentary called Of Dolls and Murder.
Uh-huh.
It basically, and here's the other. It's a story about
Of dolls and
like
murder.
the early days of forensic science.
Oh.
And how all these modern day detectives, they go to this seminar in Baltimore, and there are these 20, like what do they call them, dioramas?
Yeah.
Like a box with a little set in them, like a little dollhouse in a shoebox kind of thing.
Yep.
They've got 20 of these things from the 1930s of murder scenes.
Created by...
This little old lady who was
Creepy.
that was her thing. She was a girl.
So
she
this is
couldn't
a
go to
documentary
college.
about a little old lady.
Well, it's a documentary about her and these boxes she made in the 30s that are still used today for forensic teaching, and just how they part of it is about how they study these dioramas she made and how they learn to track killers by finding out what she put in all the clues she put in these little boxes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also about how it's a chance for forensic scientists to say, yeah, CSI is kind of bullshit. This, they've got, they have a producer
It's a fantasy.
Right, but they have a producer from CSI who's there saying, the lab, all the equipment we have in our labs is real. In fact, our labs are better equipped than most real labs. But they never use it. And just that, in CSI, they're like, I need this forensic evidence now. And it shows up in after the next commercial where it can take 9 months to get forensic evidence in real life. Or I think there's a woman there, she says 10 to 15% of the cases they investigate actually have any usable forensic evidence. So,
Wow.
And it's narrated by John Waters. And I just love that.
He's got a creepy side, obviously.
Oh yeah, he did.
It's an
He does.
understatement,
He just
but,
directs. He just narrates the cases that the little dioramas are made about, and it's just enough that it's creepy enough, and it adds a little flavor to the documentary. I had a blast. It's like an hour long.
I've never heard of this. I'm again like, man, like I think I always think like somehow I'm going to find out about something, but I've never heard about that.
Yeah, people should search it out.
What's it called again?
Of Dolls and Murder.
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
This lady, obviously, she's not around anymore. She's passed away.
No. I wish I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she was just this. And when the detail she would put into these dioramas.
Right.
If the person in the murder scene was wearing socks, for example, she would knit them socks, but on such a scale that she would use pins instead of knitting needles to knit socks for these tiny. The scale's 1 inch equals 1 foot.
Huh.
So and they're in museums now or in this training facility, but and it's photographed beautifully.
Wow.
So I would highly recommend it.
Never would have thought that.
Yeah, I know.
Man.
And now to you.
Descendants. Well, I like this movie.
I know you did.
I did.
Cool.
And I watched all the extra features on the disc, the Blu-rays. I guess it comes out this week or next week.
Yeah, it just arrived yesterday.
There is one piece of extra stuff on this Blu-ray that I digged, which is sort of it's a casual, I don't even know if you would call it an interview with between George Clooney and
Alexander Payne.
Alexander Payne, and it's just them being cinema fans, movie fans. It's just them talking about style and the way they operate, and and it's sort of, in a way, it exemplifies Payne's examples, his knowledge of classic film. So I kind of dig like that, when the veneer of selling the movie comes down and you're just talking like movies from a fan's perspective. They did that. It's and it also has a number of featurettes on the film that talk about the casting and the way things come together. And it's done in a very entertaining way. Particularly the guy, I can't remember his name. He's on Children's Hospital, but he played the husband of the wife of one of the women that George Clooney's character goes to get information about, the guy that his wife was cheating with. Can't remember the guy's name, but what he had done was, when he got cast in the movie, he saved Alexander Payne's voicemail. And during the interview, when he was asked about how he got cast and how he was informed, he pulls up the voicemail on his BlackBerry and plays it back as he's sitting there.
Wouldn't you?
That's good. Yeah. And also, I thought it was an interesting story about the casting of the young girl in the film, whose name I forget, but she plays Clooney's 9-10-year-old daughter, and how literally like 2 weeks, 10 days before they began filming in Hawaii, they didn't have a girl, and a friend's recommendation came through with an audition tape and got it to Alexander Payne, and she was cast off this audition tape, and everything just. It's funny how just like stuff just comes through like
serendipity. We
think that there's all this super planning, and I think there's as much planning as you can possibly have on a movie,
right?
Given time constraints and money constraints and all that kind of stuff. But then, when you have to film next week, a decision has to come down, and some of these things, sometimes there is actual magic. Sometimes you go by the director's instinct, and it just sort of happens. Like the girl in this movie, she is a wonderful little actress. She was just natural. She just gels with the cast, and so I think it's a great film, and I think the extra features really go in depth on covering the making of the film in sort of a casual way that conveys Alexander Payne's love of movies and his knowledge about how to put a film together. And then there's also this other message that. It's a shame that you can't do movies like this more often, but it's, studios really aren't financing these kind of things. And you have to, as much as they sell the idea that they are, a filmmaker like Alexander Payne still has to put together production funds from various sources. And it's not easy,
right?
Which is, why he hasn't been able to make movies as often as other more well-known filmmakers have, because they're like, moving in on a studio job. But stuff like this just doesn't come together as simply as it never has. Movies are simple? They're not, but it's just kind of harder to do something like this. And so the story behind how it comes together when you actually make something good, and it's pretty well conveyed on the extra features here. Plus, who's the guy who played the cheating husband?
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
Scooby.
He was so grateful to be in this movie, and I liked the way that the reasons for that Alexander Payne gave for casting him was because Payne says he's a fan of when actors talk fast, because sometimes people in real life, they're nervous and they talk fast and they put a lot of information into stuff really quickly, and Lillard's audition tape came across that way. There was something about it that was like all these lots of information in a very little amount of time. Plus, he also has the capability to react in such an interesting way, because his character, as he factors into this movie, is a very key character. He's the guy that George Clooney is gunning for, that everybody wants to know about, that he's trying to find. Like, this is the answer as to why his wife did this to him.
Right.
And the part that is so kind of like, in a way, I'm going to use the word warm about this movie, is that each of these characters are presented in such a way that is, in real life, there's like a gray area, and that there's like really no bad guy. Like when you're getting a mea culpa, sort of like, oh my God, I'm shocked to see you. This is a strange thing. It's like Lillard's character, there's a humanity about him. You actually, from on the surface, you could think he's a douchebag, but when Clooney starts to talk to him and they're you can really see that this man is hurt, and he didn't mean to hurt anybody, and he made a mistake, and he's trying to make up for it. And there's a humanity here that is conveyed very quickly and effectively in the way Payne films it. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. So, I'm impressed with how you kind of get to go in on that creative process. The funny thing about, like, Alexander Payne is, like, in these pieces, it's like, he cares about his movies, but it seems like he's not obsessive about it. Like, we know a lot of people who are obsessive in the way they make films and the way they talk about films and pushy with their, information, or it's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. But there's a laid back quality. Maybe there isn't, I don't know. But this is what the featurettes kind of conveys, a laid back quality about Alexander Payne. It says, I know my stuff, but it seems like there's a point in his creative process where he lets go and the movie just kind of happens, in his sort of controlled environment. And it's fascinating.
Cool.
Anyway, The Descendants. It's out on Blu-ray now or next week or something like that.
Something like that.
John, are we good? Do you have anything else?
Nothing I'm really psyched about. It's been a tough week for me. I saw 4 movies I liked. I'm a little burnt out.
Yeah. Man, you've been really putting it to the metal these past 2 weeks. And with you've seen
Live Fast, Die Young.
Movies, You take care of yourself, man.
Well, there's
Please. I'm serious.
I'm glad that next week there's only Hunger Games and then, some crappy stuff. But we, you have to see Hunger Games. It's in the student handbook.
Yeah.
Are you psyched about that?
Is there any preparation that needs to be done for Hunger Games?
You know what I did?
Like all these freaking books. But actually, I presented that question amusingly because I'm very much like let's say we're going to go see a Harry Potter film and talk about that. The film critic, is going to be judging this film. Some people say you have to have in order to understand this, you have to have read the books.
Right.
But in reality, from a film critic standpoint, that should make or have nothing to do with what we see on screen. So we are just looking at,
movie,
what's there from, the first frame until the last. That's all that matters. Forget about the books.
The only prep I've done so far is that I posted a video of Boy George singing The Crying Game. And I said, I know all there is to know about the Hunger Game. The chick's a dude. And I got a lot of shit for it. Like, you people don't care. You care about the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's like 2.5 hours long. It better be really good.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
We'll
better
see.
better be for Lionsgate if they want to get their franchise going. But, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I wonder what the fans of Battle Royale will be saying. You've taken our movie and Americanized it.
That comes out next Tuesday too, Battle Royale.
Yeah.
The box set.
I got to follow up on that. I got to get to watching it again. But I think we're good.
Yes.
Cool. If you want to listen to all of our shows, check us out on iTunes. We're on iTunes. Just type in the cell up there. Type in post-movie podcast, post-movie something, Steve Head, John Black, and we'll come up. Typically, everything was at post-movie.net or postmovie.net. The site's being reworked. We're going to have a new one soon, fairly soon. I don't know how long it's going to take, but Mr. Dima Ballin from Horror Unlimited and Diabolique Magazine is going to be helping us with that one. So we need help, people, and we've requested it from Dima, and Dima's coming through with us. So we're going to have a new website soon, me hopes. We're on Facebook. If you can fan us there, that would be cool, because, the more the better.
We like you
and it
fans.
just falls into our great marketing scheme, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's the place where you find links to the show, and it'll send you in the right place. I was going to say we're also at journalist.libsyn.com.
No,
that's more complicated. Anyway, if you have any questions, send us an email. We're at contact@post-movie.net, and we don't bite hard.
No.
Until next time, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everybody.